you look at the space which is created by the structure and the market happening in this space, I think it's very impressive. I want to go and have a look. Now I only have a picture. But you see, now when we look at the interior, then we can also, it's a little dark, it's darker than here, but in Hong Kong, this also is an impressive space. It's not a common space. If you look now at these four spaces, you can see that we can't say, oh, the Hong Kong market is just an ordinary space of markets at that time. Maybe not. Maybe there are not many such spaces. So but of course, this is not a serious comparison. It's just to make the point that maybe the Hong Kong market has something special. Now I want to make a remark why the pictures, if I show pictures or if you look at the central market, why it looks a little bit weak. And the reason is because over the course of time it has to be defaced. We don't look at the original design. And I think this is a problem. How can we make a judgment on the building, and actually what we look at is not its design. It's changes made by other people later, and we have to consider this. If you look in this, if you look at this, we have seen it of course before. This facade has a completely different expression than what we see now. And you can see here, it's not a matter actually of facade only. Actually, it's how does the building express itself on the outside as a whole, as one thing. And this, of course, is no more visible now. And you can see that also this building is a little bit more complex than when saying about these horizontal lines. Because you can see at the ground floor, we don't have these horizontal lines. We have this kind of going up and down, making something else. On the roof, we have also something different. So we should look at not just at, so to say, what some people say, which is a word which I didn't know before. I don't even know if in my own language it exists in that matter, but in English, they use the term feature. And as a designer, I find it very strange. I don't know how to handle this term because it goes somehow against the idea of design. So you see, that's how it looks now. But if we would cover all the things which have been changed, we would only see on the right-hand edge a little bit of the building, which is original, more or less, but even that is not really original. So actually we look at something else. We don't look at the design of the central market. And the same thing is of course on this side. When I looked at this here, I thought I couldn't understand. I thought there's something very, very strange here. And I thought it can't be like this. There's something wrong. And of course, when I saw this image, I was relieved. Because it confirmed me that there is a design behind this building, only I couldn't see in the other picture, but in this picture I can understand it. I can see it. So we have to take in account that what we look at now might not be the original design. And I think before we make any decision, we should give the original design, the original building, a chance. Now a few things about the building. First, I think there are four main experiences which can be made in the building. And one is the building as we see from the outside. It appears as a mass, as a volume. The second is as a space inside, and it's the market spaces. And of course there are variations. Then there are two special experiences. One special experience is the courtyard inside. Another special experience is the roof. The second issue is the relationship between the structure and the enclosure. And there is a very interesting thing. We see this thing with the horizontal line. It's not just a slogan or a style or a thing. It's a means of how the architects designed this building. And there is an interesting relationship that on the outside of the building, yes, these horizontal planes or slabs are dominating, and they represent the enclosure of the building. Whereas on the inside, we don't really see this enclosure. What we see is the structure. And the structure is mainly expressed in vertical lines. So it's a very interesting contrast that the two are related, but they are contrasting in the experience. Inside, the verticality of the structure, outside, the horizontality of the enclosure. Then when we look at the structure itself, we can see that there is a high degree of differentiation. It's not a regular structure. The structure is differentiated. For example, this is a round column or post where the beam is running over it. But this here is a round column and the beams cross it. So it's different. And it would be interesting now to study, is there a reason for this? Is there a pattern? Is something behind this? The same thing is when we look at the square columns or the posts. The square columns, sometimes they form a frame, which means the vertical element goes directly into the horizontal element. But sometimes they also, the beams cross the square post. So there is a differentiation there, so it's not just normal. And then is another thing, is the material. I look at this building when it was still possible to look at it. At the moment, unfortunately, it's not possible to look at it